Hello, this is Mr. Stansbury. I'm going to take you through the notes on powers in direct variation. At the end of this, you should be able to say, I can find direct variation within powers. So, what that means is sometimes variables are not directly proportional, but there can be direct variation between their powers. So, for example, the area of a square with a side length a equals s squared, means the side squared. Area is the side squared. A is not directly proportional to S, but A is directly proportional to S squared. So that's what powers in direct variation is referring to. So with that, a quick example. Suppose V equals 4/3 pi r cubed. So volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So this is volume of a sphere. State two variables that are directly proportional and then determine the proportionality constant K. So the two variables that are directly proportional are really the only two variables we have in here, V and R cubed. Okay, so V is directly proportional to R cubed. Okay, and that's simply what we're looking at for that. And then determine the proportionality constant. That is the K is going to equal 4/3 pi. Okay, and we can literally just leave it just like that, 4/3 times pi, and that's our K, and V varies directly with the cube of R. Okay, now, best way to take a look at this to really understand what's going on is to take a look at another example here. Example 4, suppose H is directly proportional to M squared and H equals 20 when M equals 7. Find H when M equals 21. So, there's several ways to look at this. I'm actually going to give you the way that I feel is probably the easiest to understand. So here's what we're going to take a look at. We're going to make ourselves a little chart here. Okay, so we've got, doesn't matter which one we put where. I'm going to put, say, M on top and H on bottom. Again, it doesn't matter. And we know that when H is 20, M is 7. Okay, and then they're saying find H. So we don't know what H is, so we'll put maybe a big H there for our variable. Find H when M is 21. So now here's the way I like to look at this one. So I know that H is directly proportional to M squared. So I know my M is going to be squared. So really what I'm going to do is go through, and anything I get for M here is going to also be squared. So these are going to, I'm going to say 7 squared is to 20, as 21 squared is to H. Okay? So since this is directly proportional, what we're going to do is we're just going to set this up as 7 squared over 20 should equal 21 squared over H, or question mark, or X, whatever you want to call this, our variable. Maybe really probably should just call this, I'm going to just call this question mark here so it doesn't, because we have two H's down there, I don't want it to get confusing here, so we'll put this question mark. So if you have a fraction equals another fraction, you simply can just do cross products, right? So we know that 21 squared times 20 is going to equal 7 squared times question mark, or X, or whatever we want to call it. So 20 times 21 squared, it's got to equal 7 squared times question mark. So we simply just do some math here. 20 times 21 squared is going to give us a big number, 8820, equals 7 squared is 49 question mark. So divide both sides by 49. Take this here and divide it by 49, and we get 180. Okay, so this right here now equals 180. Oops. 180 from right there. Okay? Okay, we can do the same thing for B, set it up basically the same way. We got our little table here. Right, and we get, it's still M squared, and it's still H, and we still know that we've got, when H is 20, M is 7, right? And then now it says if H is 100, figure out what M squared is, or sorry, the M is going to be. Okay, given that M has to be greater than 0. So again, I know that this is m squared. This is going to be 7 squared. This is going to be question mark squared. Let's do, just to make this a little bit easier, let's put that as x instead. So that's going to be x squared. So now we can set up our little proportion like we did before. 7 squared over 20 is going to equal x squared over 100. And then we do cross products just like what we did before. So we get 20x squared is going to equal, 7 squared is 49. Well, let's just do 7 squared times 100. So we get 20x squared is 49 times 100 is 4,900. Divide both sides by 20. And we get that x squared is 4,900 divided by 20. Gives us 245. And then we shall simply square root this to figure out what our x should equal. So second square root, second answer, and we get 7 root 5, or as a decimal, 15.7. I'm going to go with that. 15.7 is what our x would have to be. Okay? All right, that's all there is for the notes here for powers in direct variation. If you have any questions on this stuff, please feel free to ask in class. Thanks.